National Council of Provinces has passed the Eskom Debt Relief Bill.
Now, if signed into law by the President, it would see Treasury take over a portion of the power utilities debt of 422 billion rand. That's after Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana said in February that government would provide 254 billion rand in relief to Eskom over a 3-year period.
The results from the table are as follows. In favor, 30, against 18, abstentions 0. The bill is therefore agreed to in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution.
The NCOP has given the Finance Department 2 months to reveal the particulars of its plan.
The National Treasury should, within 60 days of the adoption of this report, which I'm hopefully is going to be done today, provide a comprehensive plan on the process by which government intends to directly take over 70 billion rands from Eskom's loans portfolio in 2025-26 financial year as determined by the Minister of Finance, which is in addition to the 40 billion rands in the same year.
Well, let's unpack this further with energy expert Thabiso Tenyane. Thabiso, good evening. Thanks for your time. So this bill has been a long time coming, following the advice of several international agencies that this is the best course to take in as far as the financial viability of Eskom is concerned. And of course, we know the debt that poses not just to Eskom, but also to the sovereign.
Yeah, this is the step in the right direction, Kathy. We've been long saying that something must be done, but also it is critical for us to understand that this doesn't also just come as a blank check. There's a lot of restrictions that are being put to Eskom. One of them being they will not allowed to build any new generation. And they were not allowed to borrow because what we call the interest on the current debt was about 35 billion a year, plus capital repayment is another 35. So it's 70 billion a year that they just got as a relief, which would enable them then to take what they've been cumulatively having to then go and give us hope as to whether they will then follow planned maintenance and scheduled maintenance on their plans.
As it stands, there have been questions around what exactly will go into this plan. But interesting that parliamentarians already expressing some concern over their ability to perform oversight where this plan is concerned, particularly because the Department of Electricity currently sits under the presidency, and we know that there is no oversight committee for the presidency. Do you see that posing particular challenges? We know Eskom, of course, is occasionally and routinely called to Parliament to come and give account.
Look, I'm not sure because, Kathy, we have so many. We moved from what we could call war room, we moved to now National Energy Crisis Committee, but the portfolio committees that are there, DPE still sits as the shareholder to Eskom, and there is the portfolio committee. So I don't see those changing, and SCOPA, it's still there. But over and above, I think the board is now having an accountability in making sure that then Eskom behaves in a manner that it is being restricted upon without necessarily doing or becoming a default. So what resulted in the 400 debt that Eskom was sitting with, we know that the two main culprits was Medupi and Kosile, which the build was just not done on time. And the configurations and the finalization of that, it's still something that the country doesn't know how much is it gonna cost. So now that it's not building anything new, I don't see it triggering itself back there. My only concern that I can tell you is the diesel OPEX cost, that is 30 billion. So you're getting the relief of 70 billion a year, and you now have increased your OPEX for diesel to 30 billion. That's where my concern is.
One of the things that the Eskom board has said is that they've worked on mechanisms to try and cap that diesel bill so that we don't sit with a situation where before the financial year is up, Eskom has used up its budget for diesel and is practically begging for more money. Do you think that will help?
How do we project 30 billion for diesel? Are you then anticipating that your power stations are going to break? That is also something very that requires an attention now. We don't even have to await finishing that particular budget. That budget has just gone out of control, and it's at the back of the diesel suppliers themselves. In now, it does not improve anything at Eskom. So if I was a shareholder and the management of Eskom approaches me for diesel at 30 billion a year, which means in 5 years it will be 150 billion, I'll be looking at what will that cost me to build new power stations vis-a-vis then fueling this thing, because South Africans have accepted load shedding, right? That pain we have already taken it. This diesel, it's not even improving an additional megawatt to the grid.
But that's not what we've been told, Thabiso. We've been told that when the power stations are failing, Eskom, of course, it's running on its turbines and therefore using more diesel. Are you saying that there are other alternatives outside of the diesel story? Sorry to come in there, Thabiso. Something gives me the sense that you're not going all the way with what you want to say on this issue. So make it plain for us. In your view, what do you see as being really questionable about this use of diesel?
But what I'm saying is the current peaker plants that have been there at Eskom all along, because load shedding is being with us since 2008. The current peaker plants, that then gives us the full capacity for Eskom capacity in saying Eskom has 50,000 megawatts. But we also then understand that the breakdowns result in Eskom sitting at the availability factor of 60 now here. Now, the breakdown in terms of percentages, Kathy, has never cost 30 billion. So I'm questioning the cost of consumption to an extent of 30 billion. To which turbines run so highly utilized to a point that they burn that type of a diesel. That's where I'm in disagreement, because I think we have Khwaripe and Ekelech. I'm not sure which other diesel-fired power station that Eskom is having, except that the other one is private sector, so the diesel gets treated differently with Avon and Titiza. So 2 power stations that are using diesel cost us 30 billion. It doesn't make sense, Kathy.
All right.
That's why I'm saying that we are relieving on the other side, but this person is saying half of what you are giving as a relief from the commitment that government has made, I'm going to spend it. All
right. Thabiso, that of course brings up another issue, this flexibility that Eskom will now suddenly find itself having when it comes to its cash flow. We're heading towards elections. I don't need to tell you about municipal debt and that age-old conversation around what should happen when it comes to cancellations of that debt. Do you see this moment presenting an opportunity where we're going to wake up and find that some municipalities that are sitting with incredible amount of debt, given the economic situation the country is in, suddenly having that debt cancelled?
Kathy, the municipality debt is a very complex one, and I would like to probably approach it differently. Because if you are going to say, I'm relieving Soweto, for instance, which is the highest bill from City of Johannesburg, and after that, then Ekurhuleni follows and says, give us the relief too. And the entire country then says, if you don't pay, ultimately government will then step in. What we then need to be careful, and it shouldn't us politicizing this thing now because there's elections next year. What we should be saying is engaging as South Africans in saying what we have seen happening when the MTN and Vodacom started. They started having contracts with everybody. And ultimately, when they were supposed to collect month ends, they couldn't able to collect because they realized some of the customers are not affording the bills that they did on the phone. In the same way, South Africans must understand the pain of load shedding is affecting all of us. Rather, let's all get to say, let's put prepaid meters in each household, and you shall therefore then try to the best of your ability to consume within your affordability.
All right.
But to get to a point that people are not paying and we are doing a write-off, I think it's a recipe for disaster.
Thabiso Tenyane, we'll have to see how this particular aspect of the conversation unfolds. Of course, I think Parliament also being well aware of the fact that this issue of absorbing some of that debt out of municipalities is a big question that National Treasury and Eskom is faced with.